Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we want to talk about the Joker sequel. They just released the logo. Actually, I think within the last couple hours, they had just released the logo, which reminded us we wanted to do an earlier video on this movie, and we just we have our
Mm.
lives, work, everything else with time. We weren't able to kind of discuss not only some of the points that I'm kind of hoping, and we're both kind of hoping that this movie has, but also with a couple of the characters, as well as the fact that they are still moving forward with these movies, despite that James Gunn is rebooting the what is now going to be the DCU.
Mm.
So we wanted to do it on that. Granted, all of us still do not have a lot of information on what this one's going to be about. We do know that Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn. And Mantis, what are your thoughts on that? While I get a drink from
It's
our sponsor.
okay. It's okay. Again, I've Lady Gaga's a very talented individual. She's a great musician. She plays the piano. She can sing. I don't particularly take her views on political side, and she's been seen at some very weird parties with I don't know, body cakes and some weird stuff. That aside, she was in I want to say it was like season 6 or 5 of American Horror Story. Did
I've
pretty
never
well in
watched that.
that. It's yeah, you should. It's pretty decent. It gets kind of weird though the later seasons, but anyway, yeah, she's being okay Harley in this kind of darker version of the Batman villains. Because again, inside this, there is. I'm sure if you've seen the first film, um, you know, Bruce Wayne is a child,
What's your name?
I'm Bruce.
and there's really no heroes in the first film. I don't know that they're going to bring heroes in the second film either. This may be just strictly villains, and from from the Batman lore, Joker lore specifically, Harley Quinn is the one who breaks Joker out of Arkham Asylum, which is in the last film is where he ended up. Spoiler alert, but I'd assume that's probably the story plot line they're going to go with, at least at the beginning of this. And something that is kind of took me aback, and I don't know if it's true, but it was in this in the I think it's Collider article that I was reading. It says this is a musical. Uh, that's a very interesting thing. So I don't
Like
know
Little
if that
Shop of
just
Horror
means
style? Like what are we doing
it
here?
could be.
She said, my boy, I think someday you'll find a way to make your natural tendencies pay.
It could be. Maybe it's just the case where there'll be like a couple of songs. I don't know. It's a very interesting change. Now it does have the same writer, or not the same writer. It has the same director that did the first Joker movie. So again, like Khaled said at the beginning of this, there's not a lot of info out on it. There's actually very little. There's several pictures of them on set and filming and stuff, but not a lot of substance of exactly what's going to happen.
So here's my thing. Like, if you do, let's not say it's a musical, but if you do musical numbers within the movie,
Mhm.
it can work if they're done tastefully, right? What I don't like is because you have somebody who's obviously known more for being a singer, they cast her. We want to throw a musical number in there now because we have this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of Lady Gaga's music, but I do think she's a good singer, right? She does have good vocal range. I'm not as well versed in music as Mantis is. He plays the guitar and all that good stuff. He knows a lot more about music than I do as far as the theory behind it. But I mean, I don't like her music, but I think she's a good singer. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, is that the only reason that you're putting this into a musical, or are you going to go almost the Little Shop of Horrors route, where as she's falling in love with the Joker, she's having these like solo music numbers when she's by herself, as she's kind of her
It could be all
descent
in her
into
head, right?
madness. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
It's a little rough for me because I'm sorry, I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's
Mhm.
like Henry Cavill is for a lot of people. Superman. Don't get me wrong, I love Henry Cavill as Superman. Christopher Reeves is still my Superman, but um, she is my Harley Quinn. She is, if I think about Harley Quinn, it's Margot Robbie. However, and I know a lot of you who are watching this felt the same way, and definitely comment down below and let us know. Heath Ledger was the most amazing Joker, but also I think Joaquin Phoenix did a phenomenal job, right? So
Mhm.
I'm open to the idea because Lady Gaga, like when you've seen some of her outfits and stuff, you're like, oh, that could be Harley Quinn, like
Yeah, for
she goes a
sure.
little over the top sometimes, which
She
is Harley
does.
Quinn, so that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
she's okay as an actress. Like, she's not gonna win any Emmys, right? Like, it's fine. Um, but again, this movie is about the Joker. She's an added part to it, and you may be right. I don't know the actual reason they picked Lady Gaga to do this part. Maybe she was interested in it. Maybe it is a case where, well, we're making this a musical from the beginning, and we need to find someone that has acted, is a good singer, knows music, can write the songs for the movie. You
See,
know,
now that would be cool too, kind of like how
she could totally do that. Yeah, yeah.
like
And again,
when the
it's a
people
different.
write for James Bond or something, they write the intro
Sure,
songs. Yeah.
sure. I mean, this is a case too where again, the movie is darker. I don't know. The first movie had a couple of good songs in it. I'm always remembering him dancing down the stairs to the Hey song or whatever it is, that they play at the basketball game, sporting events and stuff. Um, but Lady Gaga is a pop artist. Most of the songs that she does write is pop music, which is fine. I'm not hating on pop music. I like pop music. It's popular. That's what it means. It just means it sounds good to people. Um, and she could totally do that. I think the musical stuff is a weird way to go for a superhero flick, especially one that is in a, like you mentioned, not in the DCU. It is a separate thing, its own thing. So maybe they're like, well, you know what? We're our own separate thing. We do whatever the hell we want. We're gonna make it a musical. We'll see what happens. Because what's so funny? Like, recently was watching the Batman the animated series, and I know
Awesome
it's a
series,
completely
by the way.
different character.
Awesome
Yeah, I know
series,
it's
by
I
the
know
way.
it's a completely different Joker, but the way they wrote that character and the way Mark Hamill voices him, they could make. I mean, I think there's a couple episodes where there is musicals, like they sing in the show, and it's like, oh, I could totally see that Joker being crazy, running around singing and stuff. This Joker doesn't strike me as a singer. He strikes me as, again, psychotic, crazy.
Well, yeah, but that's where I think it's going to appeal more to him, but from her. He's not going to be singing
Oh,
in it.
I
It's
could,
going to
yeah.
be, or if they do, again, I think you're right. It'll be in her head, where maybe they do a musical number, but it's in her head.
Mm,
Like she's fallen
yeah.
in love with him. He's strapped to a freaking chair in a padded room, and she's fallen in love with him. And they do a musical number, and because Joaquin Phoenix, he was in Walk the Line, and he did some
Mhm.
singing in there, I believe, if I'm not
I think he
mistaken.
did
He
a
actually
little
did
as
some
Cash, yeah.
singing as
Yeah.
Johnny Cash. So I mean, I think he probably could do the singing. I think he's talented enough to do that. So I could see it like that. But in the real life, he's not singing. She's just, again, like you said, probably fantasizing about it. That's again her break from reality and how she kind
Mhm.
of goes down that rabbit hole. It's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting choice. I don't know. So in there also, Sophie Dumond or whatever, Domino from the Deadpool movies. She
Right.
was his neighbor in the first one. She's back for this one,
Yeah,
and
they
I'm pretty
cast
sure, I thought
her.
she died.
Now, well, they didn't actually show that, right?
I thought they
Um,
did. I thought like that was the whole thing is in the movie. Now, to be fair, like I did like the movie, but it's been a little bit since I've seen it. I haven't rewatched it, but I thought that was the whole thing was like you had the view where he acted like it went really well, but then in the reality, the police were there because she was dead. Could be wrong.
that
It's been a little bit since I've watched it.
yeah, it's been a while since I have too, but I don't think they actually show her dead, and they don't show her. They don't show him killing her. They do
Then it makes you wonder:
show.
did he do something else?
I mean, it all could have been
We can't say
crazy in
that word
his
on YouTube.
head.
They'll kill us.
Right, right. Yeah, you're right. Like they show what is it? The scene where he's sitting in her living room and she's like, "What are you doing in here?" Blah blah blah. You know, and that's when you realize that okay, it was all in his head, right? Um, but that I don't. Like I said, I don't remember if they actually show her
I have to
dead.
go back
But
and watch it because I thought now again maybe it also she could be there as like memories or something else as flashback. I
that's
thought
true. It doesn't. It just says she will appear in the sequel. It doesn't say she will have a big role in it because again the way especially the way they portrayed her interaction with Arthur in the first movie, it could in this second movie she could be dead and he's like literally just seeing her because he's fucking crazy, right?
yeah,
And talking to her, like,
absolutely.
and he's talking to himself, like it could all be in his head.
So interesting. It's kind of funny if you watched our previous video this could be oddly placed, but given depending on how we release it, it should be before this one. We had talked about when we were discussing the Creature Commandos that the guy who plays Rumlow in the Captain America series, he's going to be Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos, voice it anyways. So, and we talked about how it's funny that he plays literally in both the DC and the Marvel world. Well, Sophie is playing in the DC world, but she's also Domino in the Deadpool movies and Marvel. So it's funny that some of them are kind of going on. They're playing both sides of the fence here, right? You know, it's like, hey,
Yeah, yeah.
you'd be great for this. We're gonna have you for this as well, too. So, because I do
Well,
think
and
she's
again, this
great.
movie, yeah, this movie is coming out this year, right? So it's
Yes,
at the
it'll
end
be I
or
think
close to the end.
October of this year.
October 4th. Yeah, yeah. So they should have hopefully start putting out trailers here soon, not
Which we
TV
will
spots or
react
something
to.
like that. Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, I mean I can't wait to see it. I have no reason to believe it's not going to be a great movie because the first movie was fantastic. It was a really good
So
movie. So,
one thing that's very interesting to me, and we'll kind of start wrapping it up here, but because I also want to get your guys' thoughts on it too, is and maybe this is the hopeful me coming out in it, but it's really odd that we're going to have two concurrent universes of DC basically going on because there is a sequel to Robert Pattinson's Batman scheduled.
mhm.
This one's obviously getting a sequel, but they will run concurrently, but in their own universes. James Gunn has said it won't be part of the DCU as far as the core DCU, but it will still be in the DC universe. So does that lead into tie-ins of a multiverse? Like if we do a Crisis on Infinite Earths, if we do this, hey, we got to go get a young Batman. We got to do this kind of like Flash. They got the older Batman Flashpoint. Or Crisis on Infinite Earths. Do you go get other heroes from other universes, or maybe other villains come in? So I don't know. I'm interested in that because you're going to run multiple basically timelines and different universes at the same time. Are you going to merge them?
I mean, there's been talk about it, right? I mean, there's not even I guess there's been talk about are they already part of the same universe and we just don't know it yet, you know. Um
They're part of the same multiverse.
multiverse. Yeah, yeah, sorry. There's so many similarities. However, I know is it Matt Reeves that directed the Batman movie, I think.
Yes.
He's pretty much shot down any notion of that in any interview he's ever done. So it would be a change from what they had envisioned first with both of the projects, right? It would have to be something that they would have to move in that direction. It wasn't pre-thought out, which scares me if they do, because that's what happened with the first DC like universe
the
type stuff.
EU, the DCE,
Yeah, the
the
EU.
extended universe was like,
Yeah.
hey, let's do this movie, and it wasn't thought out like Marvel was, right? It was just kind of very haphazardly
Right.
done to try to catch up to Marvel. Now, like you got a reboot, right?
Yeah.
Because
It could be done though. Sorry, go ahead.
because I'm not like I for a long time I wasn't a real fan of it, but it would kind of be interesting to see multiple Batmans or multiple whatever run in different timelines, like the early, because with the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, it's kind of like
Mhm.
year. I don't want to say year one. I think it's year two. He was Batman for 1 year at that
Sure.
point. So,
For sure.
the young Batman, but then you have the older Batman, but you don't have to explain why they don't look anything alike, right? It's a different Batman. It's just the in that universe he's younger at that time. Um, that might actually be interesting to do and see the different takes and the different levels of what he deals with. Like when we talk about like a Killing Joke and how dark that Batman is, and the Frank Miller Batman because everything he endured. So it'd be kind of cool to see those different timelines running concurrently, but then maybe crossover or maybe not. Maybe it's not a thing.
Well, they could, and just for the simple fact that it's two totally different time periods in both of those movies. If you look at the Batman and you look at the Joker movie, in the Joker movie, Arthur Fleck does meet Batman in that movie, but he's 12. Um, you know, that's so it's not like you'll ever see Joaquin Phoenix and Robert Pattinson on the same screen. That will
No,
never
but
happen.
and this is kind of weird. And again, I could be wrong on this, but from what I remember reading, and I apologize, I haven't done more of the research on it, but like Arthur Fleck isn't the Joker that Batman knows. He is the one that inspires the Joker that Batman knows. Like the one that
The-
Batman deals with is the one that is basically inspired by Joaquin
in
Phoenix.
this movie, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Um,
like he's the guy. So we're seeing the precursor, and then when Robert Pattinson's Batman come, here's this guy that was inspired by the guy that you met when you were like 11 years old, that was just randomly at your gate wanting to talk to your dad.
right.
Like,
Right. Yeah. You could do it that way for sure. And I mean, it's all kind of the Killing Joke esque storyline there with Joker's origin story, as opposed to him being a mobster and all this stuff, right? Like, and if you're familiar with the Killing Joke, you know, it it is more closely resembles the storyline in the Joker movie than it
so
does anything else.
on Max, it's HBO Max. I don't care. It's dumb they cut the HBO
Mm,
off, but on HBO
yeah.
Max or Max, there is the animated. Obviously, they have all the DC properties on there, but there is the animated movie of A Killing Joke. I
Mhm.
recommend watching that because for those of you who watched in the DCEU, Batman v Superman, and they're like, oh, he was killing people, this, that, and that. When you watch Killing Joke, you kind of, and they still don't go as dark as the comics was with it. You kind of
No.
get a little bit of a glimpse of why he is that way 20 years into him being Batman, just because of the overall just complete evil nature of the Joker and the things he did and what he put Batman and Commissioner Gordon through, and even Barbara
Mhm.
Gordon. It's insane. I'm not going to go into it right now on this because YouTube will probably block the video if I say some of the things.
Mhm.
It's that bad, right? So
Yeah,
go watch
yeah.
it because we've said it before many times. The DC animated right now, like it's
It's
great. It's
yeah,
great.
it's very good. It's always been good. I mean, it really has. It's always been there, in my opinion, the main. They've not made something bad. Let's put it that way. It's the movies that they've recently released. I picked up a couple. I know we're getting way off here, but the new releases that they've come out with in the past couple years have been very good. And to kind of like bring it back into the Joker side here, I would be cool with like a Joker animated specifically type thing, like they did with the Killing Joke, a Joker series, but look like the animation style of Creature Commandos. That's kind of what I would want, instead of I don't know, like the other ones that they've done so far. like the Constantine movie or another, which is good too. I'm just not a big fan of that animation style for Joker, at least.
Now, if you watch the Harley Quinn series on HBO Max, where she's with Poison Ivy, awesome. It is very, very adult. You know, if you're under 18, you first off, I always click on here when I upload these videos. They're not for kids, clearly, but that show is not for people. You know, that's not for kids. It is very adult humor, but also a great, great animated for those two characters as well. So, before we get off way too into the weeds here, that was kind of the final on there. We give you a lot of homework assignments to do. With those homework assignments, let us know down in the comments, you know, if you have watched those, what you thought about them. If you do watch them and then you want to comment, that's awesome too. As well, how do you feel about Lady Gaga kind of taking the mantle from Margot Robbie? And you know, kind of if you have any hopes, dreams, or fears, as we always say, with what's going to happen with this one, especially with bringing Harley Quinn into it. And if you've made it this far, consider giving this video a like, subscribing, and again, for those of you who are new to the channel, we always said we will never do that at the front of the video because I don't like asking you to like a video you've not seen. It makes no sense. Why do you ask me to fucking like a video I haven't seen yet? No. Do it at the end. Although the analytics show most of you don't stay till this point in it, we're still not going to do it. We're not going to ask you to like it here, but if you have liked the video, comment down below with everything we've discussed, and then consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Because when the first trailer does release for this, we will be doing a review reaction. We will watch it with you guys.
Yeah, that'll be a reaction, and then let's talk about it right after we watch it, type of thing. So, for me, you opened up with this question: what do I think about my final thoughts on Lady Gaga? I think I see your appeal and liking Margot Robbie. She's very attractive, and for me, and I'm sure this is kind of where you're going with this. Like in my head, I'm so used to the animated version of Harley Quinn. Like she's literally a copy of that Harley Quinn.
That fun crazy, right? That fun crazy that, depending on how old you guys are, that you have been with before, and then you realize she's fun, but she's crazy. I got to get away from her now. You know, like she's that, which is Harley Quinn.
Yeah. This character doesn't seem like, and again, just from the pictures, she seems to be following Arthur down this like crazy, not like fun crazy, like
depressive,
like masochistic,
psychotic. Like when you see the picture of Lady Gaga, and you know her eye makeup smeared, but like the hair is like wet. She looks wet, whatever, not in the good way. She just looks wet. And they're like, I feel like you're gonna kill my cat. I don't have a cat, I'm just in general, right? You know, like she's gonna be that one. You know, so and ate my goldfish. You know, it's stuff like that. So I'm like, I kind of feel sad.
That's really the only question of this. I don't know how I feel about the musical part. However, I think Joaquin Phoenix has done a great job as the Joker. Did a fantastic job in the first one. I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job in this one as well. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Joaquin Phoenix, he does an amazing job, and he's just all around it. He's a great actor, right? I'm not going to speak to Lady Gaga. I don't know. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Stay tuned for more content, and until then, we will see you next time.
Later.